sound better. Yeah.
Much better.
Yay. Okay, so can you guys hear me good? Or do I need to keep yelling at you? Don't yell at you anymore. Done yelling at you. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Sorry about the glitch.
No worries. So Shannon, tell our viewers, what is SAS Go?
Oh, yes. So SAS stands for Surviving Assault Standing Strong. And it is an organization, nonprofit organization based out of Columbia, South Carolina, with a mission to eradicate abuse, assault, trafficking globally. It's a small mission, but we're doing our part, and we have three things that we do, three buckets that we do. So we offer prevention education. So that's going into schools, businesses, higher education institutions, military, whoever, and doing prevention education, working with helping people to understand how to recognize risk, how to know when, since we're on the topic of interpersonal violence, if things are going to be bad and being able to predict and prevent those. And then also looking at self-defense classes. That's our second bucket. So we teach women self-defense skills as well. And then our third bucket is crisis response consulting. So we work with women and families and survivors and families of victims to help them better walk through what it is they're going through, looking at the legal system, advocates, law enforcement, how that is all supposed to be working to help them if they're seeking justice or just seeking some sort of restoration and healing. So those are our three buckets, and that's what we do.
So why is the work that you do so important here and now in our state of South Carolina?
Well, I'll start with me. The reason that I fell in love with everything that we do is because I was sexually assaulted at the age of 16. I was in high school, and it left me. I didn't know that could happen. I hadn't been talked to about it. I didn't have any of the skills or resources or knowledge that I needed to be prepared for that. And I don't know that you can ever be prepared, but I didn't even know it was a thing. And so it really ripped the carpet out from underneath my feet. And I found myself doing the things that many survivors do, high risk behaviors, depression, anxiety, self-blame. And I spiraled into a person that I was not before. It can go in a myriad of ways. It can go to even as far as having suicidal thoughts and things like that. And I certainly had all of those. And then you find yourself self-medicating. And so that was where I found myself. I did go to counseling, and it was very, very helpful. But eventually I met my husband, and, there were issues within our marriage, not in a bad way. He's an incredible man, but just that I brought in as far as trust is concerned, and, other things physically. And so it was when somebody suggested that I go take this class that was being offered in Columbia that I found myself, and it was a self-defense class. When I walked out of there, it was the first time since that assault I trusted my mind and my body again to work for me, not against me. And I fell in love with it. And I said, whatever you just taught me in that room, I want to do that for the rest of my life, and I want to give it to everyone. And so as we've worked through the years, and it's been a while that program has been around, I took over about 8 years ago, and then developed the nonprofit within the past year. And the reason that I developed the nonprofit is because, as we're working with survivors, they come to our classes, they come to the educational seminars, and we work with them in crisis response. You find over and over that there are a myriad of survivors, right? So because sexual assault, interpersonal violence, all of those things, stalking, harassment, all of those things, they happen to anybody. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic, class you're under. It will come to anyone. And so as we were working with survivors, there were people that were going through whatever it was that they were enduring. And, I like to think of it in an analogy as a storm. And some of them were going through it in yachts, Now, the storm was still there and it was still awful, but they had the resources they needed. They had the support system that they needed with friends and family, and some were going through it in a Lake Murray boat, and it was still hard, and it's still hard to endure, but they had a little bit of support. But then there are other people literally hanging on by driftwood. And the reason that I started the nonprofit is so that we could reach those people too. So everything that comes to us, is something that we pour into other people. And even our instructors that we have from LA to DC, 10% of everything that they do in any class comes back to us. And it goes directly to making sure that people that can't afford the prevention education or the crisis response consulting or the self-defense classes can still take it. So that's why it's so important. Now, on top of that, and I'll just touch on this, but the statistics are alive and well in the United States. 1 in 6 women in the United States will be sexually assaulted. 1 in 5 women in college will be sexually assaulted. And 1 in 3 of us will experience some form of domestic violence or stalking in our lifetime. And, you hear those statistics and you think, okay, well, those are numbers, but those numbers are people. I'm one of them. And I'm sure you more than likely know someone who's had to face these things. And so I work at USC. I'm a teacher there, and, I teach self-defense on that campus. And I am telling you, those numbers are alive and well in those classrooms. And it's happening all the time. And so that's why it's so important right now. Also knowing that 80% of those assaults are done by somebody that we know, trust, or love. 72% of those are in the home of the attacker or the person that's being attacked's home. And then less than 3% of those people that commit the crimes will ever see a day in jail for a myriad of reasons. And so it's critical that we try to prevent these things in order that we don't have to endure what comes from them.
So in your nonprofit, do you get funding from anyone, or how do you do what you do?
So we do get funding. We have, fundraisers, and we do different things in order to bring the funds in. And then, like I said, our instructors give back as well. But we are new, and we do not have anybody in marketing. We've never paid for marketing or done anything like that. So word of mouth is typically how we get what we get, which is absolutely amazing. So we're working hard on that and coming up and finding and discovering ways to get the information out there like you guys are doing right now, so that people can help to support our mission.
And so how can people help someone they know or love who may be involved in a relationship that is abusive or violent?
Got it. Well, one of the things that you need to know about watching someone who's in an abusive relationship is it's incredibly difficult to watch. But the fact is that you can't make them leave. If any of you have ever known somebody in a relationship like that, it's very difficult to watch and to make them leave. And it can be dangerous for them to leave. Women need a safety plan before they leave, because the first 6 months to a year after leaving is some of the most dangerous times for their lives. And so, I would say if you have somebody in an abusive relationship, the best thing you can do is just be a really good friend. And that sounds so terrible, but let me explain how. You call them. You call them once a week and you say, hey, it's me. I was just calling because, I don't know, I'm going out to eat lunch and I wanted to see if you wanted to go with me. And they might say, no, I can't. And you say, that's totally okay. I was just calling to tell you that I love you, and I'm thinking about you, and I care about you, and I'm right here. And you don't talk about, their partner. You don't talk about them, because that just makes a divide between the two of you. They know what's going on, and they know how bad it is. And so making sure that you're just giving them that unconditional love is great. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to call you next week. And then what do you do the next week? You call them the next week and you say, hey, it's me again. I'm just calling to tell you I'm going to get a gallon of ice cream. Will you come split it with me? If they say, no, I can't, you say, it's okay. Just calling again to tell you I love you and I care, and I'm right here if you need me. Because what you're doing is there's this pattern that happens in abusive relationships where there's a good moment, right? Everything's going well and everything's fine. And then all of a sudden something happens and there's this shift in the room. It feels like the air's been sucked out of the room, and you know that something's brewing, and it feels like you're walking on eggshells, even though you may not know why. And then eventually there's this explosion that happens, and it doesn't always start off as hitting you. Sometimes it just starts off as, I didn't like what you said, and that's not okay, and you're not going to say that anymore. They make you so uncomfortable saying how you feel or going somewhere without them that then it's no longer, you just don't want to do it anymore because it just causes too much angst. And so then they see that they're gaining control, so it gets worse. And it always increases in intensity and frequency over time. So then eventually, you know, the words, the painful words tend to grow into pushing or shoving or slamming the door or saying you're not leaving or punching a wall. And then eventually it can turn into physical violence. And so on you. And so it's critical that you're doing those calls, not only to check in with your friend or family member, but also to establish this thing. And what this thing is that over and over in this person's mind, the person that's controlling them is saying, you're not worthy. I'm in control. You can't make your own decisions, and nobody loves you like I do. So they're giving them a definition of love that's their own, and it's toxic. It's not a good one. What you're doing when you call every week is you are establishing what real love is. And at some point when it's gotten to be too much for whoever your friend is or your family member, and she wants out, she's going to hear that person saying, but I'm the only one that loves you. I'm the only one that cares, because they push everyone else away. And she will know that's not true because you've called her every week to say, I love you and I care and I don't need a thing from you. And love is patient and it is kind and it is gentle and it doesn't boast and it doesn't envy. And she'll have a way out. And then all you have to do is offer her support and options and make sure that she's safe and that somebody who is professional at doing this safety plans with her.
So domestic violence and abuse and trafficking is sadly too prevalent in our society today. Have you seen a connection between what you're offering and the increased awareness around these issues?
Absolutely. You know, we work with, oh my goodness, I wrote down a list just talking about South Carolina alone. South Carolina National Guard, USC, Clemson, PC, College of Charleston, MUSC, Lander, CIU, Columbia College, Lenore Ryan, USC Aiken, Epworth. We trained, the First Lady came into USC classes recently, Lighthouse for Life. I mean, there's a myriad of people that we work with, and especially in higher education, you think about these kids, they go out to places all over the world, and now they know what it looks like, they can see it coming, and they know what their resources are should it land on their doorstep, and they know how to fight against it if they have to. So we've definitely seen a connection, but not only the connection of awareness, but on how to prevent it. And if you ever work with people who have been advocates or in law enforcement or even government officials, prosecutors, people like that who have worked with women and girls who've been hurt like this, they want prevention so badly because the aftermath is awful. We love to go in and rescue as human beings, but getting that prevention aspect in ahead of time, especially, you know, when the kids are younger, we start at age 5. So just teaching them to advocate for themselves and speak up, and, you know, whether it's the bully at the playground or later in life when it's a boss, you know, it's something that it makes a great connection, and it makes these people that are now out in the world that know better and do better and help other people to know better.
So what would you like people to know about the work you are doing?
I think more than anything, I want them to know how important it is. I want them to know that we need you guys to come along beside us. And, you know, if you know somebody in marketing who might be passionate about this and might want to connect and offer their time to help us with that, great. You know, think about the people that you know and love. Do they need a class? We will come to you, to your business or organization, whatever it is. And then on top of it, you know, just cheering on the people in your life, making sure that they feel like they can stand up for themselves. I always say, if fear is in the room, love is not. You know, making sure that the people that you know and love know that they can come to you and that you're a soft place to fall. And that if you ever need anything as far as resources or what do I do in this situation? Somebody's just told me what's happening with them. Will you help me? You can always call us. We are always here to help in any way that we can. So that's all I think I would want you guys to know, is that it's just sadly way too prevalent. And it's right here in our backyards.
And I'll wrap it up with this. And if anyone has a question for Shannon, please post that in the chat box. But if someone wants to get involved, how can they do so?
Well, so we do invite you to become involved in any way that you would like to. Obviously, like I said, it's great to spread the word that we exist and encourage other people to come to classes or to do prevention education. But also, if you want to get involved in helping to spread the word, like I just said, share it with other people. Figure out, like, do you know a gym owner that might want to host a class for ladies at their gym? Do you know somebody who might be interested in doing a fundraiser? Do you know a business? We have one coming up that's a auction, a silent auction online. Do you know a business that might want to donate something for that silent auction? There's all kinds of ways to get involved. And if you go to sasco.org, it'll list them for you too.
And are your self-defense classes on your website?
No, now we do virtual classes for prevention education, but the self-defense classes are in person, and they are so much fun. And as soon as we can, we will be up and running with those again. Right now, it's making it very, very complicated to do those in person.
Excellent. Appreciate you coming on and telling us about SAS Go today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me and for listening. I really appreciate it. Are there any questions?
The only one I received was the one about the self-defense classes on your website.
Perfect.
We'll see if anyone else has a question. And as we wait for any questions to come in, oh, Bob, you want to say something, Bob?
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. That is a great presentation. I don't know if there is a correlation between bullying younger people and sexual abuse later, but the Beaufort Low Country Club has a very widely acclaimed anti-bullying program that they have presented on the national level, and I don't know how that could relate to preventing future problems, but it's a program that you might want to look at.
Yeah.
I think it works at the ground level.
Oh, I love that. And you brought up a good question. The way I think everybody can understand bullying, it's imposing your wishes over someone else's and belittling what they want. And so, that's basically what interpersonal violence, sexual assault is. It's the inability to see that somebody else's voice matters as much as yours does. So I love that. Do you mind putting in the chat the name of that organization so that I could write it down, or just sharing it again?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you making that connection very much.
And Shannon, we have one question submitted by a viewer here. Have you ever partnered with Sexual Trauma Services of the Midlands?
So we definitely use them as a resource for people. We lead people to Sexual Trauma Services of the Midlands and other organizations throughout South Carolina. They do amazing work, and so yeah, we definitely lead people to them. Yes.
Excellent. And I see Bob is typing that in the chat box, so that'll be there in a moment. Folks, we do appreciate you being with us today. Reminder, no CWRAP this Friday and no CWRAP next Monday. So we usually do this on Friday, but I'm going to do it today since we won't be together for a full week. So that means in 1 week we want to see you and we want to see your Rotary friends with us here. We will hear from TJ Egan. He's a fellow Rotary 7770 member, the Carolina Forest Club in Myrtle Beach here. He'll be talking to us next Wednesday about corporate fundraising during hard times. And then next Friday, September 11th, Fred Medway, he'll be doing wine making and winning ribbons. And I will tell you guys, I will be absent on September 11th, and the lovely Mary Gask will be leading CWRAP for you guys on September the 11th. And Shannon, it does look like that information is for you in the chat box.
I've got it. Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
You're very welcome.
Really
We
appreciate
appreciate your time.
Thank you. Y'all have a great rest of the week.
And thanks again, guys, for being here. We do appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a wonderful Labor Day weekend. We'll see you back next Wednesday, September 9th, for the next Conversations with Rotary Action People. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.